My name is Monica Kimeu, and I am the Secretary General for Women in Safety Excellence, and we like to call ourselves WISE. WISE is a Women in Security association keen on creating spaces for women to strategically position themselves in society. Ladies and gentlemen, today we debut the Parlour, which is a monthly talk series that gives women professionals an opportunity to share experiences, inspire, and give us tools to live day by day. We will be having on board expert speakers and real-life professionals from real experiences, sharing with us issues affecting them regarding the safety and security of women. The Parlour is here to give you space to share and grow. Welcome to the Parlour.
I'm very excited about the Parlour. It is a platform where we are going to have engagement in matters safety and security.
And we cannot wait for you to engage with us, especially in this month of love, where we're engaging with self-love, something that is not mostly talked about, but is very, very important.
A place where women in security share ideas, discuss things, and ladies and gentlemen, we have the Parlour to be able to do that. So please, watch out for this space. We are coming. As we start today's session of the Parlour, I'm glad to let you know that this is February. You all know what happens in February across world over. The spirit of love is in the air. The Valentine spirit is already out there, and even in the security space, we are not so rigid. We are feeling it too. So the theme of our Parlour today is self-love. Do we as women value self-love? Do we practice it? Do we even know it exists? So I'm going to move right into it. Terry, you come from the tech side of security, and most people imagine women in security to be these rigid people, and tech worse. Love is in the air. The Valentine spirit is out there. Being a woman in security, what is your understanding of self-love?
My understanding of self-love is, in a way, is self-identity. For you to love yourself, you must know who you are as an individual. So there's no way you can love yourself if you don't understand who you are as an individual.
Maybe elaborate. What do you mean by self-identity?
For me, self-identity, I'll speak from a professional perspective, is being able to know what do I want to do in my life, and how do I want to have an impact in this society. So for me, I was lucky because I was raised by a dad who we sat down and agreed. At the age of 12, I already knew that I had 18 years of the rest of my life in school to do my degree level and to do my master's level, and then also do my PhD level. Well, we didn't achieve the PhD level, but we are getting there. So it took a lot of time for him to explain to me that I needed to invest in myself so that I would have a voice later. And I knew from the word go that I wanted to venture into IT industry.
Okay. So are you saying, Terry, that from a childhood perspective, the aspect of you knowing yourself was instilled in you at a very young age? Yes. And you have been able, as a result, to cut your niche, yes, forge your path very purposefully to identify yourself.
Yes.
Interesting. Cicely, allow me to ask you the same. What is your understanding of self-love, being in the public service, being a policewoman? You know, we see you in blue uniform and we think you're this tough woman. What is your understanding of self-love?
Thank you, Monica, for the question. Just like what my friend Terry has said, self-love deals with being aware of who you are. It also deals with, you are able to do like a SWOT analysis. Ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And are you working towards reducing those weaknesses? What are the opportunities out there that I can leverage on and become a better person? And while I'm getting these opportunities, what are the threats out there? Because they must be there. So in the police service, it is a career dominated by men, yes. But it also has an opportunity for women. For your information, in the National Police Service Act, there's a provision for women to join associations, and that's why I'm in WISE. And that way we are able now to project and become role models to other women and tell them, look, even if you're in security, that's not the last of your life. We can have a better and quality life in security, just like any other woman in the village. Only that society expects us to have more responsibilities, because we have to take care of everybody else and also take care of ourselves.
Wow, interesting. And now that you talk about in a male-dominated field, are you able to express yourself? And even as you talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, as a woman, do you know your strengths? Do you know your weaknesses? And how has that awareness impacted your whole being as a person?
Well, I think some of these things sometimes depends on your personality. Again, also depends on how you are brought up. But for my case, from a young age, I stood for my rights. I've been that firm girl. I make very tough decisions and I follow them through. So even when I joined the police service, for your information, that is about 20 years ago, there was this kind of segregation. The men could not work with the women, they could not be in the same class. And I was asking questions. Do you want to tell me in Kenya we have all police stations manned by female? And I started resisting at that very age. And today, it has come to pass. Now you go to Kiganjo, you find they have started mixing. Because of the voice that continuously are saying this is not right, this is unfair. And somehow, somebody listened and it changed.
So Cecily, if I'm getting you right, you're trying to tell us as women, being able to stand up for yourself is part of loving yourself.
True.
Being able to ask questions is part of loving yourself.
True.
Right? Terry, what do you think about that?
I agree. In my industry, I'll tell you, we are known to be people who are employed. But I had to take that risk and say, and we argued a lot, even with my family members. They didn't understand why I needed to leave employment to go and start something that is destined to fail because it's a woman-run company. So yes, it is. You have to make those tough decisions, and people think you're crazy, but you have to.
Wow. I think, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear it from the ladies, that part of them being in this sector is them knowing themselves, is them loving themselves enough to delve into a niche, an area that is male-dominated. In our next segment, we discuss the Valentines, the spirit in the air, and what it means for us as women in the sector. So there's the Valentine spirit in the air. What do you think are some of the myths that surround Valentine and the issue of self-love as far as women are concerned? Let me start with Cecily.
Thank you, Monica. From security perspective, first of all, we appreciate that where the kind of work that we do, sometimes we may not even remember that it's Valentine, but we see people celebrating it, which is good, because the kind of work that we do is an essential service. We offer services to everybody. So sometimes we lack that time even to celebrate with our loved one. For example, I work in Mombasa, my husband works in Nairobi. So automatically there is no Valentine for me. Having said that, some of the myths surrounding Valentine is that is a month where women receive gifts, flowers from men. But that kind of thinking is not true, because I believe Valentine should always be a continuous thing, just like self-love. There's no particular moment that you love yourself and another time you hate yourself. Of course, sometimes, depending on what you are doing, there's sometimes you go overboard to assist other people and you forget about yourself. But you should sit down, have some time, and think about yourself. Because even the Bible says, love others as you love yourself. So self-love is very important, because if you love yourself, you're able to project that love to other people, which is very difficult. And going forward is why you realize that because some people are frustrated. They do not understand themselves. They do not love themselves. That's why they injure themselves. For example, they involve in drugs. Others commit suicide. Others wipe our entire family because these people have been pushed to the wall. They have become depressed. They have not even realized, I have a life. Even if it is a problem within a marriage, you can walk away because that is self-love. If you are in a relationship that is, maybe you are feeling that you are threatened physically, the best thing you can do if you love yourself is to walk away, because there is a life before marriage, after marriage. Especially where I work, I've witnessed very many young people killing themselves simply because maybe they had gone through traumatic situations, they were not able to cope. Sometimes it becomes like a sickness. But if you are self-aware, it is high time you go and seek professional help. We have counselors. But because people are not aware of what they want, or maybe they are depressed, they say, let me terminate this life. And that now we lose very young men, very young ladies, which becomes a problem in the society. So the first thing is to love yourself, then love the others. And that becomes very easy and comfortable.
Allow me to just revert something you've brought up in your comments, Cecily, that love is a continuous process. And does that mean, in your view, that Valentine's is actually overrated and a lot of expectation is placed on that single day?
To me, Valentine is overrated. Because, for example, as a mother, you love your children throughout. There's no specific day to love them. If you're married, you're supposed to love your spouse for poor, for death, or those kind of things we say in church. So why is it that a single day is there to celebrate the love that we have for each other? What happens to the 365 days? So there is no love. You know, sometimes we borrow things from the Western or from wherever culture without really analyzing what was it about. Because if you are to love somebody one day out of 365, I have to choose the 365 and then remain with one day not to be loved. But because we are people who like imitating others, we have incorporated it in our culture. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's a way of showing people love. But that should not mean the other days you don't show the same love. Continue showing them that love. Even if on that Valentine you buy them extra gift, is a welcome. But you don't give me flowers on 14th and you beat me the entire year. What was the purpose of that love?
Yeah. Beats it. Terry, Cecily has said that love should be a continuous process. And while Valentine's is here to just pick out a day to celebrate this very important day, what is your view surrounding the myths of Valentine that, flowers, chocolates? Wear red. Like Monica has fallen into the myth already. Tell us, in your view, what are some of the myths that surround this day?
I think for me, and what I do is really not something that people care about, even in the office. So it's a culture I had to bring in and tell these men that, well, there's this day called Valentine's, and it's a day to appreciate the people you love. So on that particular day, we do buy lunch for the ladies, buy flowers, and let the men sit down in a room and say why they appreciate these ladies and why we appreciate certain individuals. Yes, we cannot celebrate love on one day, but then since it's here with us, then we must accept it and incorporate it within what we do and show its importance. But then that does not mean that these other days we don't appreciate it. So for me, the way I take it, it's a day to appreciate the ladies among the office and how they contribute to the overall success of the company.
Very interesting, because I think from where I sit, Valentine is a day that we are just emphasizing that we are here. And I know sometimes we fall prey into the routine, to the point that maybe you think people don't appreciate. So it's just a day that is picked out to just remind people that you know, I know it's a routine that I'm here all the time, that we do this as colleagues. You know, in WISE we do things the way we do, but there's this one day that we just speak out to just appreciate the people we love. And it's not about spouses, it transcends to children and parents. Yeah, pick flower and call your mom and tell your mom, I love you, and I don't take you for granted. So I think the myth that also surrounds Valentine is just, it's about spouses. And really, it's also about the people in our lives. It could be your boss, it could be your child, it could be your grandmother. So I think you're both right. Cecily, love should be expressed all the time. Yeah, but sometimes we forget to show it. And it is important for just one day to just pick it out and say, hey, I'm here. Right? Moving on to the next segment. Wow. Welcome back. Self-love, that's what you're talking about. And there are various ways of celebrating self-love, or even knowing that as a person you love yourself. Personally, I was sharing with some of my colleagues when we were discussing about this theme, is that some people discover themselves when they are way older. Terry has given us an example how she was able to identify herself and love herself from a very tender age because of mentoring. Yeah, some of us are not mentored. You just see, maybe you're from a place where love is not defined. You don't know who you are. And then way later, because of your association, you get to understand the value of self-love. Terry, in your understanding of self-love, how do you conceptualize it as a person? How do you define it? Like, is it, yes, career, but beyond career as a person? Is it the food you love? Is it how you do your organization? What particular can you single out to yourself as how you define self-love? Is it time with your girlfriends, like away from work?
For me, one thing is very important for me is the decisions I make. Am I able to stand with them, even despite the influence around me? Am I able to stand with them and know that I'm doing this because this is what I want? But at certain times of the year, I do pack my things and I go somewhere alone for an entire week, and I just spend my time with myself and no one else. And I was explaining this to my chair, and she was telling me, how do you pack things and go somewhere alone? But I tell her, yes, you go and enjoy things alone as yourself, rediscover yourself, rearrange your thoughts, and then come back, just you as a person. So that, for me, is self-love.
Wow. Cecily, Terry takes time off to find herself and just get into her space and, you know, rejuvenate. In your view, how do you love yourself? How do you know, tell yourself, I'm loving on me and I need to do this? How do you love yourself, Cecily?
Well, as for me, one thing that I've come to realize is that for a very long time, I put work so much. I am this person who, I like meeting deadlines. I don't want to leave the organization, things will go bad. So there are times I never used to go for annual leave. And I realized, even if I just drop dead, the police will continue working. So I decided every year I'll be going for my annual leave, whether it is January, it is December, I just go and relax my mind. Another thing that I decided, the decisions that I make, because I have a clear roadmap of what I want to become. When I decide to do something, I do it to the finish. Like, I enrolled for my master's in 2010. I finished in 2012. I enrolled for the second one in 2016, and I graduated. And my career was the only lady amongst 14 men. Some to date have never graduated. So I set my deadlines and I said, this one, Cecily, you can do it. And when I put my mind into it, I must finish, because I feel that is self-love. Because if I can make my goals and meet them, then it means I love myself. Because it doesn't look good when you set a goal and along the way you are told, oh, don't do this. Like, I got a lot of discouragement doing the second masters. People asking me, why are you doing 2 masters? But I knew what I wanted, and I got it. So even now I'm planning on maybe enrolling for PhD in 2022, God willing. And once I hit the ground, I'll have to finish. There's no two way about it. Because I also want to become, I like people who keep promises. And the first person to promise something is myself. If I keep that promise, I feel I've actually achieved what I had planned to. And I also like people looking at me as a role model, a person of, you make decisions which are firm, fair, and people can say, when I grow up, I want to be like so-and-so. She's principled. There are so many things that will come when you're doing some of those things. For example, when I was doing the first masters, I had a baby. She was 2 years. I was in Kiganjo looking for the Madaraka, as you call them, and I was in the University of Nairobi. So I had to jumble 3 tough things in my life. And remember, I was also now a mother and a wife. But somehow, through grace of God, I managed, because I had promised myself, I cannot just go and drop out. And then I start saying, my baby will have a life after that. I'll also have my own life. So self-love is taking care of other people as well as taking care of yourself first, so that you get the energy, you get the gist to take care of others.
I like the way you look at things, being purposeful, being goal-oriented. Why don't you look at self-love as the things you like to do? As Cecily, what do you like to do in your space that you would say, I am loving on me? I'll give you an example. Monica is a busy woman, very interactive, but she likes locking herself in a room alone and do nothing. Like, it's okay to just sit and do nothing. Like, take a break. Like, then you put a full stop, in a sentence. I decide once in a while to just pull a full stop to my life, and I lock that door. No kids, no husband, just Monica, herself, and her time. And I'll take a nice glass of water or wine or juice or whatever I feel I need to take at that moment. So for Cecily, what are those things that are just in your space that you would define as you loving on you?
Well, this Cecily you see here loves dancing. I'm crazy about dancing. I can dance a whole night. Wow. And even in my free space, on Fridays through Sunday, I'm all alone in my house dancing. It makes me feel fresh. It makes me, dancing is like going to the gym. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You keep fit as well as refresh your mind. So I love dancing. I also love cooking. In my free space, I do a lot of cooking, especially when the girls are there. But now that I live alone most of the time, other than cooking, I read a lot. I love reading novels, I love listening to movies which are inspirational. So those things keep me going. In fact, my weekends are very short because I am not able to accomplish all those things in Saturday and Sunday. So Cecily is a very good dancer. You can organize a wise night.
I'm sure looking forward to that. Terry, what would you say for you is that thing that you do that is Terry loving on herself?
For sure, first she has to teach me some dancing moves because I have to learn. But for me, it's travel and nature. Oh man, that takes me to just another level. So that, and I love spending time with the young kids. They're very intriguing and they ask you very stupid questions. So they keep you really engaged. So for me, that is what I like to do.
Wow. And I know the audience is wondering, what does Monica like to do? Well, for me, I think I just like spending time at the gym, shedding a few kilos because I love eating. I love eating. And I eat all sorts of foods. And I tell myself, I'm going to burn it later. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are women in security. One in the public service, a whole former OCPD for Kitui, Yes, she can love on herself once in a while. And it is allowed for people to love on themselves. It is allowed for you to be who you are at your workplace, and it is allowed to take time off and just love on yourself. Madam Tech here, Madam Terry, she's behind machines and technology and a lot of wires and what else can we say. But there you have it. Nature and children is her lover. What are we saying? We are saying that as an association of women in security, that there is space beyond work, there is space to find yourself, there is space to just take time off and discover who you are. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Our panelists, our ladies have spoken. And I know you have a few questions because then you're thinking, this field of security, what about it? I'm going to allow 1 or 2 questions from our audience as regarding the theme of today.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sally. I am a member of Women in Safety Excellence, and I'm happy to be here. My question is for Cicely. I would like to know what inspired you to from police, and you had a very high rank, to admin and HR.
So there you have it, Cicely. People are wondering, how does an OCPD start doing HR and admin? So there you have it.
Thank you, Sally, for the question. As you know, I work for the public service, and in the National Police Service, when you are recruited, we take an oath of allegiance. And in that oath, you say you shall work anywhere where you are posted or deployed. So me going to Kenya Coast Guard Service is a deployment from the National Police Service. Kenya Coast Guard Service is a maritime security agency, a government one. And when it was started, it was found that it required a multi-agency kind of approach so that it could be able to protect our territorial waters. So out of that, the police, the military, Kenya Wildlife Service, NIS, KPA, KRI, ODPP, AG's office, Kenya Fisheries Service, and many, many others. They had to pool personnel so that they would establish that organization. So out of the personnel that the police decided to post there, they saw fit to take me there as a head of human resource and administration. An opportunity that I gladly grabbed, because opportunities are never given, they are grabbed. In the maritime world, I'm learning a lot of new things that I would never have learned if I stayed in the police service. But I'm just on deployment, so police can call me anytime. Yeah.
Wow. I appreciate that question. I also was wondering how come. So thank you, Sally, for that very nice question. But we would like a question touching on our theme about love as we conclude.
Cicely talked about understanding the threats in your life. So I'd like to ask all 3 ladies, what do you think are some of the threats that you experience when you're trying to achieve self-love?
Wow, interesting question there. What are the threats that hinder some of us from achieving self-love? I can tell you first and foremost is commitment to other things for me. Being a mother, a wife, sometimes you're so busy taking care of other people, you don't get time for yourself. And that is why it is important to be purposeful when it comes to self-love. You just decide, this week it is my space. Because as a woman, if you don't purposely decide to love on yourself, you will be overwhelmed and you will lose yourself. Unasikianga mtu anauliza, kwani huyu amechapa aje siku hizi? It's because that bracket of self-love is not there because of time and commitment and other things. So for me, that is a serious hindrance to achieving self-love. But now that I'm aware of it, I purposefully take time off and just love on me. And I pass it on to Terry.
I think for me, the threats I've experienced being a single woman in my industry is you have to be okay with sitting in meetings where you're the only lady. And you have to affirm that you're knowledgeable enough in this matter. And you have to command that respect. And at times people will try to shove you down. They think you don't have that experience. But you have to stand firm and really show that you understand what it is that you're doing. But with that constantly is you also have to know where you come from. Have you invested in your knowledge? Have you invested in terms of networks? What really have you done for yourself that you can be able to stand and say that I am speaking this as a subject matter expertise because I have this number of qualifications to handle this matter. So yes.
One, sometimes we say, in my culture, this one is not allowed. For example, I'll give you something that happened to me when I was young. My dad wanted me to become a teacher. And I did Bachelor of Education. But because my calling was not there, I could not continue becoming a teacher. Because I loved myself so much, I wanted to become a police officer. But my father would tell me, police women are never married. Police women, they are like this, but kind of, I loved myself and I told him, look, you did your part. I got the papers that you wanted. Please allow me to do that which I love. And to date, may God rest his soul in peace, that he affirmed that actually I was not born a teacher, but as a police officer. Though even in the police department, I train a lot. So it was a win-win situation because I used that education to train others. So there are so many threats out there. They can be family, they can be culture, it can even be the politics in the office. This seat, for example, is reserved for men, it cannot be for women. A lot of threats, but just as Terry says, you must affirm that indeed you are there, you are competent. We do not have feminine brains. No, we go to the same schools, we do the same exams. Some of us, sometimes we excel more than the men because we know why we went to those classes. So self-love has a lot of threats out there. Look at it from wherever it is, whether it is family, it is the office space, it is politicians, technology, everything. But you have to kind of look at what you want to become, follow through. Do not be distracted. The distractors are there. But you must affirm that, indeed, this is what I want to do and do it perfectly. As long as it is lawful and it pleases you, please continue.
All right, there you have it. I think take home, for you to love on you, you need to be assertive and you need to take the opportunity when it presents itself. Thank you very much for those very insightful comments. I think one final question and then we close the session.
My name is Catherine Karuga. I am a member of WISE. I'm the Director, Recruitment and Membership. And I have a question for both our panelists. Being in the security industry, I already know it's a challenge for ladies because it's a male-dominated industry. And for Terry now, you are in two industries because you are in tech and you've combined with security. There are a lot of times I want to believe that you are trashed down because you are a woman, or you are doubted by your clients. How does that affect you or your self-love, if at all it does, and how do you overcome that?
Well, there you have it, the question of combining tech and security and how you manage the doubt. And it's I'm sure it's not something that just Terry experiences. There's a lot of women in security. People don't think you have what it takes. How do you deal with it, Terry?
Thanks, Catherine, for the question. I think when I started, for me it was a culture shock. That sometimes I went into boardrooms and I was denied the contract because I was just a lady. So sometimes I have to go in with my business partner who is a man, because they will give me that contract because he's there. But when you look at even the submissions and the papers that I give, he does not have those certifications for ethical hacking. The certifications are with me. But this is something I discussed with other people in my industry, and they told me the papers are with you. You're the one with the knowledge. And just having that qualifications and that backup that the papers are with you, you're the one with the knowledge. Nowadays, I do walk in, and if you don't want to give me the job because I'm a woman, I tell you, it's fine. It's not my feminine aspect that is doing the job, it's the brain. So if you're going to give this job based on gender, then I think you're on a very retrogressive culture and a retrogressive way of this country to think that you're going to give someone a job because they're a woman or because of something else. So that for me, again, it's what we are talking about. It's just that affirming. You've got to go there with the confidence and tell them it's either you give me the job because of the qualifications I've put aside of my gender, and give me the job because of what I know.
Wow. So I think take home is know who you are. Just know who you are, and no one can ever question who you are if, first of all, you know who you are. Many times people try to tell you who you are. Remind them they don't know you better than you know yourself. All right? And I think as women, as women in security, and even as women in other areas, it's important to talk to a friend, sometimes just sharing. And this platform that we've started as WISE, as Women in Security, is such a platform to allow us to share our experiences. Terry will talk about her challenge. Cecily will tell you when she was an OCPD, these were her challenges. And you realize you're not alone. So we are here to be able to just encourage one another, hold one another, and chat this way forward. But as we close, I'd like to ask the panelists, one take home. What would be your advice to the women in security, those who are aspiring to join security, those who are afraid of this industry? What would you tell them? And I start with Cecily.
Thank you, Monica. I will talk to not just women in security, but all women in this country. I'll tell them, as women, when you are given an opportunity, or when there is an opportunity, take it, run with it. Do not wait, sit at home. Opportunities will never find you there. And another thing that I realized, when you are given an opportunity, for example, to introduce ourselves, what do you say? You say, I'm Mrs. So-and-so, I'm mother to so-and-so. You know, you're not describing yourself. You are describing somebody else. I normally start with my qualification, then end with the family, because that is what I am, and that is part of self-love. When you say you are Mrs. Mungai, now we don't know your name, but you know your husband's name. When you say Mama Brian, we know Brian, we don't know you. So when you're given such an opportunity as women, always ensure you are telling us who you are and work towards improving yourself. I normally like this phrase that we are always on a race, and the road to success is always under construction. Always improve yourself in the little that you do. If you're a businesswoman, continue doing it to your best. If you're a professional woman, increase your papers, go back to school, get the network, increase your circle of influence, know who is doing what, and that way you will be at the top. But when you sit down and whine and start looking around and say, so and so has not gone to school, why should I go? You're not going to improve somebody's life. That is what we call circle of concern. Just be focused on the circle of influence. The little that you can do to empower yourself, grace it. Thank you very much.
Terry, what would be your advice to women out there?
I think for me, it's two things. You don't get self-love from other people. It has to come from you. You don't get it from your spouses. You don't get it from your kids. It has to come from you, and that's why it's called self-love. The other thing is you've got to invest in yourself, and you've got to decide this is what I want to do. And only when you make those decisions, then do you have the mind to do anything that you want to do.
Thank you, Terry. Parting shot, ladies. I think take home is that we are stronger together. Waswahili walisema kidole kimoja hakivunji chawa. And at Women in Safety Excellence, we have a platform to join hands and chat our way forward and create a space to talk about issues that are affecting women. We have sexual, gender-based violence issues affecting us. We have sexual harassment issues affecting us. We have confidence issues, even just standing and to talk. We sit behind in boardrooms, just sitting in front. being bold enough to say no. Just saying no. This is what we are saying in WISE. We welcome membership, and we are happy to debut this first series of the Parlour. Watch out for the next one coming month. We are going to be celebrating the International Women's Day, and we are positioning women in leadership and how they've been able to fight COVID-19. Thank you.